Hi guys, welcome to my September book review here on my YouTube channel. This is a review of everything I read this month. It's not as much as previous months because I have actually moved house, hence the new exciting background. But as always, if you've read the same books, let me know what you thought. And if you have any books you think I'd be interested in reading, then please do share your recommendations with me. Enjoy! The Line of Beauty by Hollinghurst. This was a book club book. To recap, we are given a glimpse into the life of a young gay man, Nick Guest, from 1983 to 1987, who lives with a well-off family in Kensington. Review. This book was actually quite lovely to read, but I was disappointed at the lack of purpose or resolution. Yes, it was a glimpse into a rich gay man's life in the 80s. Yes, it's literary fiction, but was it trying to be satirical? A lifestyle warning? A disparaging look at behind-the-scene lifestyles of rich Tories? At times it would blush and stumble through sensitive topics, then suddenly be brash, bold and shocking. Nick never seemed to do anything particularly useful or worthwhile except for lose friends and lovers, which didn't seem to bother him all that much. The sister of the family he stayed with, Catherine, was the real plot twister at the end. That was crammed into the last 20 pages or so and could have been explored in a more devastating way. Overall, not sure I enjoyed reading this. Everything is Better with a Cape by C.H. Clepitt. Recap. Kerry is trying to get on with her life after the apocalypse, which hardly anyone else seems to remember, but she is pulled into her girlfriend Sam's world of espionage and intrigue. Together with her spirit guide Badger, Kerry gains her very own superpowers and sets out to save the day. Review. This is the sequel to I Wore Heels to the Apocalypse, which I admit I have not yet read, however it is firmly on my to-be-read pile. It's a fast-paced novel with amusing scenarios and believable character interplay. Cape looks at the adjustment needed to deal with having superpowers as well as how delicate relationships can be. Having a Badger spirit guide is genius. I was fortunate enough to be involved with the beta reading stage of this novel, and I know how much blood, sweat and tears were poured into this book, a true labour of love. What makes Cape stand out from the crowd is the inclusion of a secondary storyline told throughout comic strips. It keeps you guessing about what will happen next and how the storylines are connected. I definitely recommend this. The Well of Lost Plots by Jasper Fforde, the third in the Thursday Next series. Recap. Thursday Next, the newest jurisfiction apprentice to Miss Havisham, is hiding out from the real world in the Well of Lost Plots. She is on a character exchange programme and takes refuge in an unpublished novel called Caversham Heights. But a new operating system seems far too good to be true, and things are afoot in the literary world. Review. I think it's essential to have read the previous books in this series, plus they're so good, why wouldn't you? I adore the puns, the unusual take on phrases, character names, and all the little nods to various works of fiction and film. The Star Wars scene was so awesome. I read it aloud to my husband, who, whilst highly confused, indulged me. My only niggle was the fast pace, leaping around, and Next ends up doing literally everything, jumping from place to place to place without even taking a breath. She accepts it all without being the slightest bit phased, while the rest of us are trying to keep up with what's happening. At least she does get to say she's knackered, and she does get to do quite a lot of sleeping. I would love to see the world-building notes that Fforde has, and the reams of ideas that I haven't yet had a chance to marvel over. I suspect a significant amount of world building have gone into these novels. I really look forward to reading the next one. The Tale of Despereaux, being the story of a mouse, a princess, some soup and a spool of thread, by Kate DiCamillo. I originally started reading this with my little boy, but he got really bored and he wasn't interested, and I have to admit I was slightly horrified when it came to the mice cutting off tails and the rats, bloodthirstiness. Not really the sort of thing I thought I was going to be reading at bedtime, but I had got about halfway through, so I decided to finish it off myself anyway, so at least I know what happened in the end. Yeah, an unusual children's book. Not really sure about this one, to be honest. The Secret King by Chapman. Recap. Kendro, king of the Aenes, is evacuating his home planet from a dying sun and an alien race bent on their destruction, whilst knowing, through his visions, that not everyone will make it. Review. At first, I did struggle with the huge cast of characters who use both their first name and surname interchangeably, and some of them also have additional rank names, which I found a bit confusing at times. Plus, we are told very early on that not everyone is going to make it, so you might think that knowing that would affect the tension. However, each disaster is powerfully written with grit and emotion, making you hope that somehow things will work out. The main story arc gets confusing with the large cast of characters, but the smaller storylines are easier to follow, and many of them are clearly there to set up later books. We have a super child, a secret seer, dastardly and possibly immortal brother and sister enemies, a forbidden love story, and a deep division between the upper and lower classes of citizens in the spaceships. The excitement of the space battles, the unusual illness, and the inter-character tension all help move the plot speedily along, keeping you gripped until the cliffhanger of an ending. The Way of Kings Part 1 by Brandon Sanderson. Recap. Kaladin, a one-time proud member of the Lethao army, is charged with murder, enslaved, and ends up a bridgeman. Dalinar, the brother of the assassinated king, is trying to work out why his brother was killed, whilst keeping his nephew safe and trying to end the pointless war against the Pashendi. Shallan is desperate to save her family by stealing the king's aunt's soulcaster, plus other, smaller, tantalising stories that we don't know enough about yet. Review. Sanderson is a master storyteller, as we know, and so there are many tendrils woven into Part 1 that have yet to be resolved. Several hints as to what might happen, which makes reading Part 2 high up on my to-be-read pile. Despite a large cast, we managed to spend enough time with each character, mostly, to get a good understanding of their storyline. Intrigue and snippets of information keep the reader turning the page to find out what will happen next. I really enjoyed the introduction of the Spren. It's so well done, you can almost imagine them in our world. There is just a little too much that I don't understand yet, so I feel a bit frustrated at having read so many pages and still not having had all the answers. It works both ways though, because now I desperately want to read Part 2. That's it for this month, guys, and I'll see you next month for more book reviews. Happy reading!